Hello, Tar Heel Nation. I'm back. I'm your host, Dan DeWitt. This is the UNC Hoops Talk podcast. And I took a week off and I was hoping, thinking maybe it was getting better. Um, I had a little bit of hope after beating Clemson, but even as I was typing up the description for this podcast, at first I put we were 1-3 since the last podcast. And that we had lost 3 of the last 4, and then I start going through box scores and looking at the schedule, and I believe I last podcasted before the Pittsburgh game, so I think it's if I got it right, we've lost 4 of the last 5 since the last podcast, and yeah, our only win coming from or against a Clemson team that is right on the same bubble as us. I don't know if they're in any better or worse shape than us, but all right, yeah, we're gonna jump into that. Thank you guys for supporting the podcast. We'll see who shows up tonight after that game. I had to watch it a little bit late on DVR playback, but first half looks so promising. We're right in there. We seem like we're fighting and all that, and then we come out the second half just kind of flat and so quickly, so easily. It was just gone. So yeah, as 300 who's in here says, shaking my head, and that's about exactly what I'm doing. So I asked a couple of questions to kind of start off. I don't think we're going to go through. I don't think anybody wants to relive all those games. So I don't think we're going to go through all of them. Definitely not the stats. We may kind of hit on some, or maybe even all of them. We'll see what we get into. But can I ask, do we make the tournament this year, and how much hope do you have left for this season? Obviously, I guess it was about this time we were you know, turning it around. I guess we're going into the last Duke game. We still felt like we had to win that one, but didn't have much hope, and we pulled that one off. So that would have been, early March. But you feel like about now is maybe when we lost to Pitt and kind of at our lows and ready to turn around. So I guess we still can. We have the hope that hey, we did it last year. I think last year we felt like it couldn't. It was over. We were done. Nothing could happen. At least this year, I guess we have the memory of last year and the hope that we can maybe do that again. So, yeah, I guess I kind of just ask if you're listening to this later in the audio podcast, find me on Twitter at AltarHillDan, or Instagram, or if you're watching on YouTube later, put it in the comments below. But I mean, do we make the tournament, and how much hope do you have left in this team that they will turn it around and like I said, either even make the tournament, and if we get there, can we make any noise? So yeah, started off here. 300 says we need to start Puff and bench Nance. I don't know if it's you 300 or somebody on here has said that before on a previous podcast. People have said that on Twitter to me, and I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. I don't really care who starts, as long as the best players are getting the most minutes. But I feel like I'm kind of at that point. Nance just isn't getting stuff done. He's really not contributing. Last few games, I haven't looked at the stat book, or the stats for tonight, so I don't really know what he gave us tonight. But from everybody's comments, I'm guessing it's more of the same. So he gave us 6 rebounds, 1 for 5 shooting, 0 for 3 from three. Yeah, 2 points, and that's in 30 minutes. Puff Johnson in 14 minutes didn't shoot the ball well either. 1 for 6, 0 for 4, but gave us those same 2 minutes, or sorry, 2 points. But I feel like he gives us more hustle. I don't know. Again, it was just kind of odd. I fast forwarded through obviously the commercials, fast forward through a lot of the dead time, free throws, stuff like that. And so I don't get the same gist of the game as I do that, which I don't like. But I also wanted to get kind of caught up and try to do this tonight because I did take last week off because it's so hard. I was hoping that it'd get a little bit better, and it just isn't. So had to come back on here again, maybe another therapy session, whatever. But man, we shot the ball horrible. 5 for 31 from three. Caleb Love was 2 for 12. RJ Davis is 2 for 7. Um, I mean, RJ still had 23 points. Caleb had 20 points, but that's on 18 and 19 shots respectively. Whereas Armando Baycott, again, our All-American, and again, it's they're sinking way off of Nance, they're sinking way off of Leaky, and so we're kind of playing 3-on-5 on the offensive end. And so Armando just took, I mean, Leaky Black took 9 shots, and Armando Baycott took 6 shots. He was 5 for 6. Some foul trouble. Obviously, he'd end up fouling out, but only 4 rebounds for him, 12 points. But I mean, you look at our points. We had 23 from RJ, 20 from Caleb, 13 from Leaky, which I guess Leaky was our kind of best or most efficient offensive player. 6 for 9 shooting, 13 points for him, 9 rebounds. He's our top rebounder as well, and then 12 for Armando, 2 for Pete, 2 for Puff, and that's all of our scoring. That's just, I don't know, unacceptable, I guess is a word that comes to mind. Like it, yeah. I mean, again, we just shot horribly shot. So first half we shot 52%, and the second half we shot 38%. Three pointers are kind of almost reverse. We shot 1 for 11 in the first half, which is 9%, and then 4 for 20, which is 20% in the second half. So 16% overall. Even free throws, we were only 60% for the game. Just crazy. So anyway, back to kind of what 300 was saying. I mean, we got to try something else. Like we're just beating our head against the wall, and nothing's changing here. And so, yeah, if that's Puff starting, um, I don't know. I don't even know. Like, I know Wake Forest, was the big blowout, and some other guys got playing time and stuff, but like we gotta try something else. I don't know. Um, Catching up on a little bit of live comments here. And if you'd like to join a live show, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. It's just UNC Hoops Talk on YouTube. Subscribe there, hit the notification bell, and you'll find out. Because again, I'm not I skip some weeks sometimes, but um, when I go live, you get the notification, and you can come jump in and lament with us, or hopefully we get it turned around, and you can enjoy it with us, celebrate with us. But 300 says we got lucky last year, caught a hot streak. I have no faith in this team. It has talent everywhere, but the coaching makes me miss Roy so much. And to think how much we were nagging on Roy at the end. It's crazy. I know not all of us, but just as a fan base, people were kind of done with Roy's system and all this stuff. And yeah, so James is in here. Good to see you, James. Too much time and talent has been squandered. It's crazy. I mean, it's been like this. I mean, think even the last year or two of Roy, we were kind of down, and so we've looked at 4 kind of tough seasons here in a row. The COVID year, we weren't going to make the tournament. The next year was what Roy's last year. We lost to was Wisconsin in the first round, right? And then last year the whole season was kind of blah until obviously the magical run, and then this year a lot of the same. So yeah, a lot of time there has gone by. um 300 says I can't wait until some of these guys are gone. It's a good ride. They will be remembered forever, but we need new blood in here. It's yeah, I mean, I can't disagree. We try to be somewhat politically correct and all that stuff, and not be too hard on the guys. Be positive and encouraging and all that stuff. But it's almost like we need a different culture. Like the leaders in there right now are not giving us the Carolina culture that we're used to, and living up to the standard that we're used to. So I don't know. We need kids that can shoot. Well, we know Caleb and RJ can shoot. It's like Roy says, we need makers, not shooters. Um, but yeah. So I mean, obviously, we'll come back to this. Keep putting those comments in there if you guys are in here live. And again, do we make the tournament? And how much hope do you have left? But just kind of going back to again, since the last time I podcasted, the Pittsburgh game, we lost at home. I think that was our first home loss, actually. But you remember that game? It was the big, again, that seems so long ago already, but that was when the whole Jason Capel stuff kind of blew up for a little bit there. And, we thought it was just kind of a tough game, tough loss. That was a 1 point loss, right? 65-64. God, seeing scores in the 60s just kind of hurts my brain for North Carolina. And then obviously we had the Duke game. Um, yeah, I again, 57 points for the Tar Heels in that game. Um, got out rebounded. The blocks that they had 11-3 in blocks. And to me, one thing I did kind of want to look at is as I had all these box scores open as assists. So Pittsburgh, we had 6 assists as a team, and I know we got into this early in the season. Kind of seemed like it had fixed itself a little bit. We got some of the assists, but it just feels like when we get those assists up, we just look so much better. So we looked a little bit better against Duke. I think people would say that. I mean, it was a good game. Again, didn't see a lot of the bench. We had 12 assists in that game. And then if we move to the Wake Forest blowout, we had 9 assists. Think, and then again we go obviously different tempo and stuff like that, but score 85 against Wake Forest. And then Clemson, we know that we blew. I kind of said it. I don't know that I put it on Twitter, but I was afraid we used all our 3 pointers against Clemson. We shot 15 for 33, almost 50% from three, 17 assists in that game, scored 91 points. And then we follow that up again tonight. I don't even know how we got to 72 with we had 4 people in double digits and then 2 other people scored 2 points. But again, just shooting horribly. But we had 6 assists again tonight. So I'm sure there's a place to look. I'm not going to do that here live, but I wonder what we average for assists per game as a team. It can't. I don't even know if it can be double digits. If it is, it's maybe what 10, 11, 12 assists a game. It's crazy. So that's where we're sitting here. So our overall record too. Um, just well, obviously, just saw it on the TV as we were playing Miami, but I think I can get it here. We are 16-10, so double digits losses already. We may not get to 20 wins. We're 8-7 in the ACC. And yeah, we're probably not going to get a bye in the ACC tournament. We're going to end up, if we even do make a run, have to play 4 games in 4 days. If we even get that far, but just yeah, just pitiful. Again, being number one preseason, we would end up being the first number one preseason team to never make the tournament. Just kind of sad. So we are sitting in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, ninth place in the ACC right now. And yeah, so the good thing about our schedule, it's good and bad about our schedule, I guess I should say, is we have opportunities to get the wins we need and to make the tournament, but we also have some tough games left, and we don't win them, then obviously we keep falling farther and farther in the bracketology, and we don't make the tournament. So again, if you're listening to this later, let me know on Twitter, Instagram, wherever it is that you're listening, or find me. And do you think right now? I may even put a Twitter poll up later. Do you think we make the tournament as of right now? It's hard to be positive about that. Again, we'll get into the schedule here a little bit. But yeah, James says family, family, family with hires, and yet Dean Smith went to Kansas. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously that's what I mean. Dean built the family, though. I don't think that was there before that, but yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to find more of you know what's going to keep our culture going as opposed to just staying within the family. But I don't know. I'm not there to where I say that I know I've seen it already. So some people are that Hubert just isn't the guy, and we got to get him out there. I don't want to say that yet, but something's gotta change, like, I don't know, we need some experience, and that's the thing with his staff even, I get it, they're all UNC guys, and I thought maybe Lebo would be that guy, but we need somebody kinda with experience in there, so, um, I don't know, so 300 kinda getting into the schedule here, we got NC State in-state, we better be ready because 'cause they're going to remember that last game, and I think, again, that's one Caleb Love is kinda gonna get up for, and coming off a loss, Armando's gonna be mad and he's gonna get up for it. And but that again, I asked kind of like how much hope do you have left? Is okay, we go into NC State and get that win. Who says we don't follow that up with a complete dud against after that? I mean, we got what Notre Dame, I think, after that. Then do we go to Notre Dame and lose that game? Um, James says in some ways this is worse than 2020. He also says adoption is family. Hey, I hear that, man. I got 2 adopted little girls, so, I'm right there with you, and I think it would be okay, for a basketball program to hire somebody that didn't graduate from their school, but again, I don't wanna necessarily go there yet. I would be okay, like, let's give Hubert a 3rd year. Although we already gave him an extension, right, earlier this year, so I don't it's gonna be tough. We're gonna owe him a lot of money. I don't know that North Carolina is like, some of these football schools where they just or even like Texas where they're paying people to go away or, you hear some of these schools that, "Hey, we're still paying the last 3 coaches," or whatever it is. So, I don't see us being like that. But yeah, we're kinda to the point here. We got Flex Muhammad in the, comments saying, "Man, I'll be so glad when this season's over. Pete Nance has single-handedly killed us all year." I don't think you can put it all on him. Obviously, Caleb hasn't been good. RJ has had his struggles. Leaky, we know offensively, isn't there, and um, Puff has been hurt. Armando has missed some games. Has been beat up. Tonight again he's holding the wrist. And I didn't even hear again. I was fast forwarding through kind of the downtime, so I didn't hear why did he go back to. If somebody can answer in the comments, why did he go back to the locker room early from halftime? Did anybody I mean, I feel like the wrist was after that, right? I could be wrong because I was kinda going through it too quickly, but, um, if they said, "Why did he go back to the locker room early?" So 300 says, "Hubert needs his players, wait till Ian gets here." I mean, it's true, but how many of these guys aren't his? I get that Caleb and RJ and Armando and Leaky and that core was here before Hubert got the head job, but he was the lead recruiter on a lot of those guys, so they like are his guys. And I guess that's the sophomore class of Dunn and Styles of like they were still Roy's recruits, even though again he had a part in that recruitment, but maybe didn't fit his style, whatever. Okay, but then why isn't Seth and Tyler and Jalen and missing another freshman? Why aren't they getting more minutes? And I believe me, I totally see Seth has got again his offensive struggles right now, and Tyler hasn't lit it on fire, but he hasn't really had a chance either. Jalen, needs to bulk up a little bit. Maybe he's still kind of getting used to it. I get all that stuff, but like he's got his players there. Or again, at some point, like okay, put your players in if Caleb and RJ aren't yours. I don't know. So 300 says Hubert might have to go again. I don't want to go there yet. Um, but it's something like I think even the I don't know, last year, obviously, it was his first year. The beginning of this year, we're like, well, we can't say anything about Hubert because it worked last year because we went on that run. But at this point, I don't think you can say that Hubert's untouchable. Like, hey, give him time and this. Like I said, I'm not ready to fire him. I say we give him next year and kind of take a look at it. But something's got to change. James kind of says it most unready bench in the country. But that's the thing. They're so unready. But then he's like, hey, when your opportunity comes, be ready. And then like they get thrown in like the Wake Forest game, and it's like, you know, I mean, you can't just throw them in the ACC and be like, "Go figure it out." It's not going to work that way. Um, yeah, Flex says Dunn, Styles, Nichols, Seth Trimble, Jalen are all these guys are ESPN top 100 guys. It's kind of concerning to see no develop from these guys. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember where I heard it, but somebody was talking about, Dean Smith always said from freshman to sophomore is your biggest jump, but it's like, I guess Dunn looks better. I don't know. We don't know what he looked like last year because we didn't see him at all. Styles, we've seen probably less this year than we did last year, so you can't say there's development there. And even Caleb and RJ and Leaky, like there's no development there. Baycott, I guess from his sophomore to junior year, got more consistent. Um, whew. So James says at least the pods have been fire the past 2 years. I don't know about that. I feel like I've come on here and been way too negative, way too hard. Um, and yeah, so I don't know. I hate to do that. Again, my hope is kind of dwindling. Again, the hope is that we did it last year, maybe we can do it again, but we even have to get there before that is and that is fading quickly. As we look to the schedule coming up, I know we referenced it a little bit, but so we got NC State coming up on this Sunday, 1 p.m. Trying to think. All right, I think I'm good for that game. That's a noon game for me. That should work out good between what I have this Saturday, so I can actually watch it. It's on ESPN. It should be again. The environment should be crazy because yeah, they're going to remember last game. I think our guys will get fired up for it. Obviously, coming off a bad loss again like this, hopefully they're ready. Um, and so I saw a graphic. I feel like it was on Instagram. Somebody put out, but we have two. It was before the Miami game, but we had two quad one games left, two quad two games, and then two quad three games left. And I'm pretty sure NC State and Virginia. So NC State on the road, Virginia at home were the two quad one games. Notre Dame on the road and Florida State on the road were both quad three, which again, those four games then become almost the most important. So they're the next four games that we play because we need quad one game wins, and then we just can't afford to lose quad three games. Not that we want to lose quad two games either. Obviously, that's supposed to be a lesser team than quad one games, but really we need the quad one wins, and we can't afford to lose the quad three games. But so we just lost a quad two game with Miami at home, and so now we got State Sunday. We follow that up with Notre Dame on the road Monday, Virginia at home. Which, yeah, again, how much confidence you have that we're going to beat Virginia, even though it's at home. Then we go to Tallahassee, which we've always had trouble with, but that's a quad three game. We can't afford to lose that one. And then we got Duke. We don't want to get swept by Duke in John Shire's first year. Obviously, we want to. I think I said it. Go to Duke. It's at in Chapel Hill. That's March 4th, Saturday. But obviously, we don't want to lose them again. We feel like we should have beat them the first time. So we want to get that, but really that's maybe the least important game left on our schedule. I guess you could say if we lose a quad three game on the road, if we at least beat Duke, it's a better win, whatever. I don't know. That whole net thing is crazy. The bracketology stuff, you know, it's not for me. I kind of pay attention just to kind of see where we're at, but um, yeah, I mean, we got 5 games left here. We so we really need to beat State at their place, Virginia at home, and then we just can't really afford to lose to Notre Dame and FSU on the road. And then, of course, we want to beat Duke. We don't got to swept by Duke in Shire's first year, and um, yeah, all that stuff. But and then obviously we get into the ACC tournament. So, yeah, what is it? The first 4 teams in the ACC get the double bye, and then I don't even know what it is next. The next is it 2 teams get a bye? Is it the top 6 teams get 1 bye? I don't remember. It's got to be more than that, right? Maybe the top 4. So we got to be in the top 8 to get at least a bye, and right now we're outside of that. So, I mean, we're below Syracuse. Man, Wake. I don't know. It's crazy. Um, uh, I don't even know what to say anymore. Um, it's gonna be tough. Like you said, it's gonna be a rough end of the season here, and yeah, I mean, I again, I think we give Hubert one more year. We kind of take a look at how are we playing, who comes back, um, and how does Hubert handle the bench and all that stuff. I mean, technically, RJ, Caleb, Mondo, they can all come back. Leaky can't. I'm pretty sure Pete can't. Um, but I mean, where are they going? Caleb and RJ, Mondo, they're not going to the NBA. And especially with NIL, then I don't know what numbers are, but I assume they're making decent NIL money right now. Do people still keep paying them to come back next year? Do they transfer out, get NIL money somewhere else? I mean, I hate to see that as a 4-year guy in Mondo go get money somewhere else, or even I get it. Like people are ready for kind of like Caleb to move on, and I don't know about RJ. It's a little bit different, I think, between the fans and RJ, but to see Caleb go somewhere else and get paid and play for them, it would be a little bit weird. And of course, we know if he does that, it would probably go somewhere in. I mean, knowing Caleb, it would be like go to Duke and he would just light us up. And he would just, but even going somewhere else, even outside the ACC, like he goes back home, plays for St. Louis or Missouri or something like that. Kentucky, they could probably use somebody uh, like you just know he would be on fire. He'd go after it, and we would be like why didn't we get that Caleb? But yeah, it's I don't know. We got to see kind of how it goes, but yeah, I don't. I guess what I'm saying is I don't have much hope left for this season, which I hate to say. With us still being on the bubble, we still have a chance to make the tournament. We've seen what these guys have done last year. I just don't have a lot of hope that it gets done. Not that it can't be, not that I won't be cheering for it to happen, but yeah, Louis Moore or Lewis says, with all due respect, it's not working out with Pete. He hasn't found his confidence by now. He won't start Puff. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, and I'm with you. I'm right there. I've always kind of said I don't care who starts. It's about who gets minutes. But at this point, we gotta try something different. Like again, the definition of insanity is to keep doing what you're doing and expect a different result. And right now, I just feel completely insane that we are doing the same thing over and over and over, and we expect different results, and they're just not coming. Um, James says bad coaching happens, um, and that's the other part of like Hubert. Again, I hate to be so negative, but it's like we just don't see huge adjustments. We don't see the coaching. Like I get the motivation, the positivity of Hubert, all players coach, great speaker, that kind of stuff. But like you, I mean, think about what was Dean so good at, and it was the X's and O's. Like he knew what the other team was going to do. He knew what to counter with. Um, he knew what the other team wasn't expecting, and he knew when to throw it in there. I think Roy was a little bit less than that. He was a little bit more unpredictable, and I think he got a little bit more predictable. Maybe at towards the end, people knew he wasn't going to take timeouts. People knew kind of when to expect, you know, jumps and traps and press and stuff like that. Even though it wasn't as common and stuff. Um, but from Hubert, we just don't see that stuff. And I don't know. He somebody said too. I think it was maybe Gil. Remember Gil that used to be on the podcast? You guys should go tweet at him and tell him to come back. But um, I think it was him kind of saying. And now I kind of lost what I was going to say. I should have made that joke, but um, we just don't see that stuff. And Hubert. Oh, I think it was. I was going to say that. Hubert's gotten a little bit more. He said that Hubert's gotten a little more defensive in his kind of post game answers or press conference answers, which I agree with. I think it was Gill anyway. Um, but yeah, he answers like I know he said on makes, if you're going to allow the other team to score, then I call a set play, and otherwise it's kind of freelance. But we've lost kind of what Carolina basketball is. I think we can still get it back. I don't think it's that far gone, but remember when North Carolina used to run even when the other team made a basket, and how the announcers talked about that, but you still knew it was coming? They'd get layups after you made a basket, or you miss it, and we're just gone, and everybody's out running, and we're getting layups, or we get open threes because everybody's running back in the lane, or we just command the defensive rebounding, because nobody sent anybody to the offensive board because they knew we were going to run and get after it. Um, I know I miss that. So James says, I doubt Mondo comes back 4 years on a bad team. I mean, I do too. I don't know what he comes back for, because that was what this year was supposed to be for. He just said it after the Wake Forest game, I think it was. Like, you know, we came back for a reason, and this isn't it. And so, yeah, what makes you think next year is going to be different? And so, yeah, I think he doesn't come back either. But technically, they could, and it's like where else they go? Like, again, I get why, and that's why I say like, well, maybe he goes somewhere else and gets NIL money, because I don't know why you come back because you don't think anything different. But also, where is he going? I mean, the money might be better in college than it is going overseas, or at least you're still living here. And I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I don't really anticipate him coming back either. But there is that possibility, I guess. So I want to throw that out there. So the Nintendo, good to see you, man. Even as frustrating it is, he says such a frustrating and disappointing season. I've certainly lost hope. He says, I love Hubert, but it feels like he is very stubborn in his ways and doesn't like to adjust. It feels like he rides on blind faith way too much. When I think, yeah, part of that is like, hey, I'm going to prove you guys wrong. I'll show you. And probably feels like, hey, I did last year. Like you guys were all riding me, and then look what happened in the tournament. And he's probably waiting for that to happen. But these just don't seem like the guys that it's going to happen with. So yeah, I think there's definitely some stubbornness in that. Um, I mean, nobody wants to admit like this isn't the way I've been teaching it and doing it and whatever. So James says from playing under Dean and Pat Riley and coaching under Roy, Hubert has been prepped as much as anyone could ask for, and yet we're here. And that's the thing is it's sometimes it's just that different going from making the suggestions to making the calls and doing it your way. Sometimes it looks really easy. I mean, think about it. North Carolina, like it should recruit itself, and I think it. I mean, not to say they haven't worked at recruiting, but he kind of goes out and says, "I want people that want to be here and want the Carolina experience, and it's for 40 years, not 1 year, and all this. Obviously, we've gotten guys in, but like it is Carolina. Like once they come on a visit, it seems like they're they're in. Um, and you know, um, yeah, it can be just kind of a look easy and not always be that easy. I think when you're actually doing it. When you're taking all the blame or taking all the criticism because you're the head coach as opposed to nobody's really noticing you as the assistant, it can be a little different. Nintendo says, I also don't understand how this team can do what works for one game and then revert back to the old ways the next. Jacking up three after three, especially when they aren't dropping, won't win you games. And we all see it. Um, you know, it's crazy to me that in the Clemson game, Caleb is having such a good shooting game, takes that really bad kind of heat check shot way too deep of a three, like just dribbling up and then takes a deep three, misses it, and then Pat's like, "Oh, my bad." But then like obviously hasn't learned anything from it. A week or two ago, I saw, again, an Instagram post or something where Caleb had the quote of like, "I have to do better. I have to be more consistent driving. I can't settle for jump shots." I feel like I've heard that over and over from him, and obviously he hasn't learned anything from it. Nothing has changed, and so yeah, why we it would expect that to now, and that's part of kind of the losing hope is they aren't learning. But again, and again, it goes back to Hubert, and I keep saying it, but I think we got to give him another year at least. But like accountability, there has to be accountability. It seems like all the bench guys are riding such a short leash, and then our starters are on like no leash. There's just go do whatever. There's got to be accountability, and that's part of the culture of like why do they get to do whatever they want, and I get yanked for this or that or whatever. It's all part of it, and that definitely goes back to the coach. So 300 thinks Baycott comes back. He loves the school. He does, but again, I have no idea. I have no insight. I have no source or whatever. I was just kind of putting out there that he has that opportunity and like probably doesn't have anywhere else to go. He's not going pro or anything like that. As far as NBA, he could go overseas and play. So um, yeah, I've no idea what Baycat's gonna do, but I mean, and if Baycat came back, but maybe we start off guards, because we don't really have a big guy like that. Um, but I don't know. Maybe are people resentful against Baycat because he's getting the most attention, or he did at least the preseason ACC Player of the Year, all the commercials and NIL deals and stuff like that. Are people resentful? Would the young guys be resentful? Would they follow his lead? there's so many questions we can't answer without being in the locker room and stuff like that. Um, and again, does he come back? Um, because what have we shown that next year is going to be better? Does he want to be on another average or subpar team? Uh, Nintendo asks, was Brady really the glue that held this team together? Was one player the key to the whole team's success? This team looks so lost without him and his scoring ability. I mean, that's the thing, though. I think he was kind of the perfect because I mean, you look at the way if you've seen his highlights, I've seen someone on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. Like his shot release is so quick, and I mean he's knocking down threes where he's playing now, and he did for us, late in the season, obviously as well. But then also seemed like yeah, he had that kind of dog and fire in him, and um, it was kind of perfect for this team. And we thought obviously Pete was going to be able to at least provide some outside shooting. That has been non-existent all year. Doesn't have the fire definitely that Brady does. We haven't seen any of that from him, and so it does kind of seem like he was perfect. It is kind of hard to believe that one person kind of makes that big a difference, but he was kind of the perfect. I mean, he just wanted to win, and he would he called. I remember at least one press conference like I didn't come here to play with all these all McDonald All Americans and stuff like that to lose these games and maybe not by name but called guys out, kind of that accountability, hold people accountable, like we're too good to be losing these games. And um, I don't think Pete kind of has that fire in him like that. He seems like a nice guy and all, but um, Brady kind of was that perfect piece for us. And um, I think Puff has some of that energy and get after it, but obviously isn't calling people out. Flexes, yeah, man, has to be accountability. None at all. I can't wait for my guy Simeon Wilcher, and honestly, I think Armando and RJ are back. I'd love RJ and Simeon in the backcourt. Does Simeon jump right over Seth? And like again, in today's culture, what happens with Seth? Like, does he bail then and transfer if that happens? Like, I am really worried about our roster going forward. Again, if like Caleb and RJ come back, um, what happens to some of our recruits or even some of our young guys kind of transferring out, or if they don't, and then Hubert jumps some guys over, like I don't know. It's going to be really interesting with transfer portal, with the recruits we got coming in NIL money, guys that could come back. It'll be really interested, but I think we do first have to get through this season. So I don't want to stay. I feel like again I've been way too negative, um, and I hate to do that on these podcasts. I want some hope, and I just ain't finding it. But 300 says waiting for 24. I don't want to wait for 24. I want some wins and some good games now. James says wrong era not to use the bench. I agree, and that really worries me. But I want to kind of just end it again. If you're listening to somewhere else, I'm sorry this has been so negative. If you've gotten this far, I'm 38 minutes into it. I feel like I haven't said anything good. But let me know on Twitter, again, Instagram, comments on the YouTube channel here. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening. But let me know, do you think we make the tournament this year? And do you have any hope that we turn it around? There are some really hopeful, positive UNC fans out there yet. I find it harder and harder to be one of those. And then obviously we have the totally negative people that just wanted to clean house and all that. But hopefully I'm somewhere in the middle. I try to kind of see both sides and be on both sides. And yeah, it's just been harder to do lately. We got the teams in front of us uh, to kind of help us. And towards the end of last year, we kind of said it once we kind of beat Duke and we thought we were in the tournament. Maybe it's better to be a 10 and avoid that one. Obviously, we beat the one last year, but maybe to be a 10 and 11 and to avoid that second round matchup with a one seed. Maybe that's better. Um, but yeah, we got to get there first. There's still work to be done, but we do have the teams in front of us that can provide those wins. Again, not sure I got the hope that we can do it, but That's what we're holding out for. James says, oh, sorry, read that one already. 300 says we have the talent. It's the coaching. Um, Talent's there. Coaching's got to be better, but also the players got to be better. They got to execute. They got to be better. Uh, if we make it, it'll just be the first four in. That's my prediction from the Nintendo nerd. Rick, good to have you here. I don't know that I've seen you here on a podcast live, so thank you for jumping in here. He's got confidence. See, there's the positive. I like it. He says the heels will. And Louis, oh, jumped a bunch of comments there. Louis says 50-50 for this year, but slowly losing hope. Hold on to it, Lee. Let's keep cheering them on. Flex says I'm almost lost all my hope. We have to go undefeated and make a run in the ACC tournament. I don't see it happening unless coach learns to adjust. Fingers crossed, though. Rick says the Heels will need to win the ACC tournament to get in. If that is the case, again, I don't know that we even get a bye, so we have to win 4 games in 4 days. That's going to be tough. I hope we're not to that point. Again, like I said, if we beat State, we beat Virginia, and then we don't lose. I mean, that's pretty much calling us to win out the rest of the season. That's almost like winning the ACC tournament, but um, I think a little bit better chance of that. Nintendo's says the players need to be disciplined. Um, and James says we're 0-9 in Q1. The odds of that. So is that true, James? Are we really 0-9? I know I mean, we just beat. Who did we just beat? Clemson wasn't it. Were they out? I don't think Clemson probably has dropped out of being a Q1. I feel like when we beat Clemson, though, it was a Q1, wasn't it? And then I know we had Ohio State we were kind of holding on to they were our only Q1, and then they kept losing, and so yeah, I doubt they're still a Q1. God, are we really 0-9? That's terrible. But like I said, we got State, we got Virginia. I think are both Q1s. We got to win those games, not lose the Q3s. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Ohio State isn't. I was just thinking for whatever reason that Clemson maybe was a Q1, but it was at home, and the way they've dropped, they probably aren't either. Rick says that's a lot of what ifs. So Rick says Clemson was a Q1, and I thought so too. But again, it maybe they dropped out of it with the loss to us. Um, I don't know. We'll have to check on that for the next podcast. But again, I've been here 42 minutes. Way too negative. I hate it. Let's get back on track. Let's let's go get this win. So it starts with one. I don't know when I'm not even gonna try to predict the next time I'm gonna podcast. But we got NC State Sunday on ESPN, 1 p.m. Eastern tip. And then we go to Notre Dame on Wednesday, a late game on Wednesday. It says ESPN or ESPN2. At this point, I'm going to guess at ESPN2 um, at Notre Dame. Followed up by the next Saturday, Virginia coming to Chapel Hill on ESPN. So let's start there with the first game. James says Clemson was Q2. Nintendo says College Charleston is pretty good, but the fact that they're one of our better wins is sad. Louis says we did beat NC State. Shouldn't that be a Q1 win now that they are ranked? It's not about ranking though. It's about where they are in the net, and because it was at home, that's not a Q1. I don't think, Louis. But if we beat them at their place, that one would be a Q1. So that's where we got to start. I'm gonna end it here. Thank you guys for jumping in. Of course, now we're up to the most viewers of the night here, but um, I hope you guys are subscribed. If not, go to youtube.com/UNC Hoops Talk. And also, as you guys are here, all the people watching, hit that like button. Let's again, maybe this isn't the podcast we want out there, but let's get some exposure. Get some more people subscribed. I feel like I missed that weekend. A couple of people unsubscribed from the YouTube channel. Let's keep putting it up there and getting it up there. The after party, James. Yeah, no, that's it. Everybody hit that like button. I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys. I hope you're subscribed, and for those listening later in the audio podcast, subscribe where you are. Find me. If I put up a Twitter poll, go vote in it. If you think the Tar Heels are going to make the tournament or not, be subscribed for the next one. That's what I got. Let's go beat State. Nintendo Nerd says his hope is gone. I keep cheering. We all do. We're going to keep cheering for the Heels. Rick says it. That's it. Let's go Heels. Until next time, go Heels.